My video on 30 things to do after installing Ubuntu 18.04 is the most popular video on the channel. In this video, you will learn even more extensive list of things to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04. This is 50 things to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04. Let's get started. And the first thing I recommend to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04 is to configure Software and Updates Manager. For that, you go to the menu, open Software and Updates, and in this application you go to Download From, and here you choose Other. Then you just need to click Select Best Server, and Ubuntu will analyze all available servers in your location and pick the one which is the fastest. You click Choose Server, and close the application. You will need also to reload the list of available software here, and now whenever you update your system or install a program, all the packages will be downloaded from the fastest server in your location. And the second essential thing to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04 is to install any necessary drivers. For that, you go to the menu and search for additional drivers, open this application, it will automatically analyze your hardware and define if you can install any drivers. Usually it will suggest you proprietary drivers here. So I already have all the drivers necessary for VirtualBox installed on my system, but if you have a dedicated graphic card like AMD or Nvidia, you will be probably suggested to install any drivers here. So you just need to choose the appropriate driver from the suggested list and install it. You may also need to reboot your system after the installation. And let's say your driver didn't work. So you can again open this application, and here you can click Revert to restore the previous driver which was installed on your system if it worked better. So this is very useful application to configure a system for better performance. Even if your system works fine by default, you can still try to choose any suggested drivers here, and maybe you will get little better performance. Just give it a try. If you watched my Ubuntu 20.04 review, you probably already know how much I complained about this. So, for example, if you open an application from the dock, and you click again on this icon of this application, it will not minimize to dock. So, I believe it's not good behavior. So let's enable this feature in Ubuntu. For that, you need to open Ubuntu software, and search for dconf editor. Install it. Then open it from the menu. Agree that you will be careful here and search for click action. Then you need to open this org gnome shell extensions -to dock click action, disable the default value and select minimize here. Then you apply these changes and close dconf editor. Now whenever you click on this icon, your application will minimize. I believe this behavior is much better than the default behavior of Ubuntu, where you need to search for this minimize button and click it. It's much easier to click on the icon. In my opinion, every desktop user will benefit from decreasing the swap use. I will not talk too much about the swap here, I have a dedicated video on this topic, you can click here on this card to watch it, but I will just show you how to decrease the swap use in Ubuntu. You just need to open the terminal, and here you type cat procs this VM swappiness, and it will show you the default swappiness value on your system, and you can change the default value. For that you need to type sudo gedit and open the file atc sysctl conf. Enter your password, and here you scroll down to the end of this file and type vm.swappiness equal 10. Then you just need to save this file. After you reboot your system, you open the terminal again and check your default swappiness value. Now it is 10, so this way your Ubuntu will use more RAM and little less of the swap space, which will increase the performance. You can also gain some performance by enabling the drive cache, but this would probably work if you have HDD drive, and you will not notice much benefit if you use SSD drive. So I would recommend to do that only for the HDD users. So you open the application disks, select your main drive here, if you have several drives for example, go to the settings, click drive settings, and go to the tab write cache, and here you just need to enable this feature. You can also read these warnings that you may lose your data if, for example, your computer shut down unexpectedly because of electricity cut, for example. But I have used this feature for many years and I have never ever had any problems. So I believe the performance benefit is still worth it enabling this feature. So give it a try if you use a slow HDD drive, and I believe you will notice some performance improvements. But again, if you use an SSD drive, that may not be necessary. On the other hand, for SSD users, I recommend to reduce the number of SSD writes, which will extend the lifespan of your SSD drive. You need to open the terminal and open the file with gedit, and the file is atc fstab. Type your password, and here you search for the word errors, and before that word you need to type NOAA time. This way the number of writes to your SSD will be reduced. If you have several partitions, for example this is my root partition, but you may also have a home partition here, you can add this word to the home partition as well. Then you save this file, and after the next reboot these settings will come to play, and number of writes to your SSD drive will be little reduced, which will also extend the lifespan of your SSD drive. If you are watching this video, you must be curious and creative. The default is just not enough for you. So, you may like the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people just like you. It is a great place to explore web development, video making, photography, writing, freelancing, and more. I believe you may like this tutorial on how to handcode your first website by Rich Armstrong, where you will learn basics of HTML and CSS. Everything is presented in a simple way and visually narrated. So in about an hour you will get your first hand-coded website, as I did. I like Skillshare because it is a curated platform, so videos are top quality, concise and optimized for learning. The first 1000 of my subscribers to click on the link in the description would be able to explore thousands of inspiring Skillshare videos with 2 months free premium membership. I would say installing Synaptic is an optional thing to do after installing Ubuntu, because Synaptic is quite old software manager, but I still recommend you to install it, especially if you want to learn more about Linux, because this software manager includes many more softwares which are not visible in the default software manager. So you search for Synaptic, here it is, and install it. Close Software Manager and search for Synaptic in your menu. Let's open it. And now, as you can see, you see detailed information about every package available for installation on your system, as well as you can go to the Status tab here and select only installed packages, and you will see all the installed application in this software manager. It is much more useful than using the default and user-friendly Ubuntu software manager. So if you want to be a little more advanced user, or you want to learn more about Linux, I highly recommend you to install Synaptic and use it for installation of specific packages. We will use it a couple of times during this video, and you will see all the benefits of this software manager. Ubuntu Restricted Extra includes many packages which are very useful for everyday use for desktop users. For example, it includes many codecs which are necessary to play some video formats, but they are not installed by default in Ubuntu because of some licensing issue. But you can still install them yourself, so let's do that. You open terminal here and type sudo apt install Ubuntu Restricted Extras. In addition to this, I also recommend you to install Ubuntu Restricted Add-ons. And if you play DVD disc, you can also install this package. Press enter, enter your password, and say yes for the installation of these programs. Here you need to agree with the user license to install Microsoft fonts. You press Tab to select OK, and then you press enter. Here again you need to press Tab to select yes, and press enter. Again, to install libdvd library you need to press OK here, so you press enter. You can also enable automatic upgrades, you press enter again. The installation of these packages takes quite some time, so that's why I speed up this part in the video. But you will need to wait quite a while to install them. So after these packages are installed, you will be able to play almost any video or audio formats, and in addition to this, these packages also include Microsoft fonts, such as Times New Roman, which will be necessary for Microsoft LibreOffice compatibility. I don't recommend installing Flash Player because of the security reasons, but I know myself that sometimes you need it because some very old websites still use it, and especially if you need to access those websites, you need Flash Player installed on your system. So if you're one of those persons who still need to use Flash Player, you can open Synaptic. This is actually the case where I will show you how we can use Synaptic. And search for Flash here. Then you just need to scroll to the letter F and find Flash Plugin Installer. Select it for installation by Mark for installation and click Apply. You can also select here automatically close the window after all the changes have been successfully applied. Now Flash Player is installed and you will be able to access those old websites which still use Flash. To install Java environment, you open Synaptic and search for Open GDK. And here you will see all the available Java versions which you can install on your system. The default one is version 11, so you select it here for the installation. But if you need the newer version of Java, you can also scroll down and find version 13 and version 14, for example. Or you can also install older version, which is version 8. That's another benefit of Synaptic Package Manager. So you can see all the available versions of software which you can install in Ubuntu. We apply these changes, and after the program is installed, you should be able to use Java programs on your desktop. Speaking about additional applications, there are many programs you can install. In this video I will show what I think is probably the most frequently needed applications for regular users. And the first one is alternative browser. Of course you can use Firefox, but I know that many users prefer Chrome, or you can install Chromium, which is an open source version of Google Chrome. You can open Software Manager, or you can of course use Synaptic if you prefer that, and you search here Chromium. Here it is, select it, and install. Basically Chromium has almost exactly the same features as Google Chrome, but it is an open source, that's why I recommend it over Google Chrome. You go to the menu and open it just to test. Here it is, it looks exactly like a regular Google Chrome. So the next application is a little bit controversial. This is a video player. Ubuntu already has a video player, which is pre-installed here by default, and it is quite decent and good video player. But it may not always play very well some of the formats. So that's why I also recommend you to install additional player. And for this particular case, I will recommend you to install Celluloid video player, which is getting very popular. So you search for Celluloid player, open its page, and here you click installation. Then you search for Ubuntu here, click on this page, and you will be able to see the repository which you need to add to your Ubuntu to be able to install this player. You copy it, open terminal, press Ctrl-Shift-V to install it, or you can use right click and paste, press enter, type your password, press enter to add this repository. Then you can just copy this command to update your system and type sudo apt install Thunderbird. Yes. After the installation, you should be able to find this player in your menu. You can open it. It is quite minimal video player, but it's considered to be little better than the default GNOME player. So give it a try and let me know in the comments if you like it. I also prefer to use an alternative audio player. In Ubuntu, you could use Rhythmbox, which is installed by default, but I don't like this player because you cannot choose specific folder and play music only in that folder. You need to kind of manage and create your audio library as a whole. But for example, if you open your audio library with Clementine, here you can go to Files and select specific folder which you want to play, for example this one. Select all the files and play them here. It also has many other features which you can explore here. For example, you can play different internet media services. But if it's too complicated for you, there is another alternative which is called Audacious. I also like this player because of its minimalism, but it still has all the necessary features to play audio files. For example, here you can click Open Files, go to your music folder and select specific folder and play specific files. This is how these files will look in Audacious music player. So all these players are available in Ubuntu software, just go there and install them. And let me know in the comments which one do you prefer. I also know that many desktop users use such application as a Dropbox. Now the installation of this program is very easy. You just need to search for it in the software manager, select it here and install. Next, you open it from the menu. It will download the Dropbox installer. You will see the icon appearing here in the top menu, and then you just need to log into your Dropbox account and you will be able to sync all your Dropbox documents to your Ubuntu desktop. If you need to edit any picture, I also recommend you to install GIMP application. This is an alternative to Photoshop. It is very good and I use it all the time to create all the graphics for my YouTube channel. Again, you just simply install it from the software manager. After the installation, you open it from the menu. And this is how GIMP looks. If you're a Spotify user, you can also install it in Ubuntu and stream all your music library through the Spotify. Just go to the Software Center, search for Spotify and install it. I know also that in current situation, many of us have to work from home and use different online meeting tools. For example, if you still use Skype, you can also find Skype in the software manager and install it from here, but most likely you have already switched, for example, to Zoom, which is also available in Ubuntu. Search for it in the Software Center. It's not at the top unfortunately for the moment, but here it is. And you can install Zoom from here as well and use it in your Ubuntu. And it works very well in Linux environment. I have tested it myself for the last 3 months. If you need some more advanced text editor, for example if you write code, you can install VS Code. Here it is. It's available in the software manager. Or alternatively, you may also prefer Sublime text editor, which is also available in Ubuntu. Just click here to install it. And also, if you need any tool to make your notes, you can install such application such as Simple Note, which is very popular. Or for example, you can install application which I use, which is called Cherry Tree. Here it is. I have reviewed this application in my The Best Note-taking software on Linux video. You can watch it by clicking on this card here. If you're a gamer, you would probably need to install Steam application, which is also available in the Ubuntu software manager. Here it is, and it's again just one-click install and you will have access to plenty of games on Linux. GNOME Sushi is a special application, that's why I separated it into another thing to do after installing Ubuntu, because I believe it deserves a special attention. Let me show you this application. You open Synaptic, and search for GNOME-Sushi. Here it is, selected, mark for installation, and apply. Now let's close Synaptic and open File Manager, go to my videos, and here, for example, I select a video file, and then I just press space, and you see I can preview this video right from the File Manager, without the need to open it with a special application. But of course there is option to open it with videos, for example here. Then you press escape and you exit this application. You can do the same for many other files. For example, you can preview an image. You press space and it will open in this preview window. That's a feature which is very popular in macOS, so I believe many Ubuntu users will also appreciate it. Another application which I would like to show you as a separate thing to do after installing Ubuntu is to install the password manager. Because I believe this is very essential application and very few users know about it. If you go to your software manager and search for the application which is called KeePassX, you will be able to install this program here. Enter your password. This is my favorite password manager, so let me show you how to use it. You create a database where you store all your passwords, but you encrypt it only with one password. So you just click create a new database, passwords, continue. So now you need to enter the encryption password. So this password needs to be very complicated, but something that you will remember, or you can write it down somewhere and hide it in a safe place. But for this experiment I will type a simple password, because it's just a test. So after you have created the database, you choose where to save it. You can save it in your documents. And in this application you can create many different passwords and you can store them in different categories. For example, you can create different groups. Let's make it Linux. And you can create different password fields here. I will name it test, username ALU, and here you can type a custom password, or I recommend you to click on this keys icon and generate an automatic password. You can define how complex you want it to be. Usually something around 12 characters is enough. Here you want to say if you want to include special characters or just letters and numbers. You can also see how the password looks. For example, this password is much more complicated. You can also see how good it is. So this password is good. If we increase it, now it becomes excellent. And then you click accept. So now you have saved your password here. You click OK. So, and here we have one password which we have just created, but you can create like hundreds of passwords for different accounts here. That's what I usually do. I use for every single account I have a different password, which are stored in this application, password XC. Then I just click on this field and copy my username and paste where I need, and the same I do to copy my password and paste where I need it. If you use other password managers, please let me know in the comments below which one and why do you use them. So when you close this application and open it again, you will be asked to enter your password. You can make this encryption even more complicated if you use a key file, but this is a little advanced level, so I'm not going to show it in this video, but I may make a separate video about this password management application. So now I have access to all my passwords. Nowadays more and more users use VPN, so I would like to show you how you can configure VPN in Ubuntu. Usually you can cover most of VPN protocols if you install OpenConnect. So you open Synaptic, search for OpenConnect, and install OpenConnect and OpenConnect GNOME. Apply. After the installation, go to your network manager, Wireless Settings, and here click on this plus icon and select the protocol which you need to use. For example, I use Cisco AnyConnect for my VPN provider. I click here, give it a name. Here again you can choose different protocols here. Then you provide the address of your VPN connection and click Add. Now let's try to enable it. Then I just need to enter my username and password. There is also an option to save a password if you don't want to type it every time, and log in. So as you can see, there is a VPN sign here, which means I have connected to VPN successfully. Now my internet connection is secured through the virtual private network interface. If you want to test VPN settings, you can also watch my video on how to get private VPN server. The link is here in the top right corner. Now let's go through some other settings in Ubuntu, and we will start with Appearance. In your settings you go to the Appearance tab, and here you can change different desktop themes. For example, let's see how it looks. This is a standard theme. You can also use light theme, which has this light title bar, and you can also use the dark theme. This theme I think is very appealing, and it is a new introduction in Ubuntu 20.04. You can watch my review to see all the other new features in Ubuntu 20.04. But I prefer the standard theme, so I will keep it standard here. Here you can also set the behavior of the dog. For example, you can auto hide it. Like here you see it's not visible, but then it appears. But I don't like that behavior, I just want to show you that option. And here you can also set the size of the dog icons here on the left. You can increase them or you can decrease them. But the default settings I think is optimal here. And you can of course change the position of this dog. You can place it at the bottom, and you can also move it to the right. But I will keep it on the left. I think the default settings of Ubuntu are quite optimal. If you want to install additional themes in your Ubuntu desktop, keep watching this video and you will learn how to install custom themes in Ubuntu 20.04. The next settings I would like to show you is the privacy settings, which is located here. And here you can, for example, enable your location service, so this way whenever you go to any website, the website will receive information about your location and you will get some local settings. On the one hand it is very convenient, but on the other hand, if you have any privacy concern, you can disable these settings. You can also configure how you want to check the history of your search, for example. Here you can also set the screen lock settings, and in the final settings you can also define if you want to send to Ubuntu any reports about your usage statistics. Ubuntu asks you to send any errors reports. Here you can keep it manual, so you will be asked to send such a report, or you can disable it at all. Or alternatively, if you don't mind, you can of course send it automatic and the system will decide on behalf of you whether to send it or not. But I usually set it to never. So these were the privacy settings. Next, let's configure the online accounts. If you go to the settings, you will find this online accounts tab, click on it, and here you can add different accounts. For example, let's add Google account. You need to enter your username, and then you enter your password. You can press enter or scroll down and press next here. You need to give access Ubuntu to your Google account, and here you can decide what kind of features you want to synchronize. Close it. So now your Google account is connected here. You can of course connect several different Google accounts if you need. One of the advantages of this online accounts connection, for example, if you use Google Drive, you go to your file manager, and here you will find your Google Drive attached to your system. You click on it, and you will be able to find all your Google Drive files. This is very convenient, and we will use Google Drive in the next things to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04, when we will do backup of our system. I also recommend you to check your computer name. For example, if you go to the tab Sharing, here you will see your computer name. In my case it is Ubuntu 20. You will also see this name when you open a terminal. For example, let's open the terminal. And you will see here is my username and the computer name. So if you want to change this computer name, you can do it here. Also, after you have changed this computer name, you may need to log out and log in to apply this change. Next, let's go through the sound settings. Ubuntu usually configures your sound settings correctly, but it is still good to check to make sure everything works as expected. Here you can configure your output device, so these are your speakers. If you have several of them, you can check them here. You can of course click the button test and test left and right speaker if you have a stereo speakers, for example. If you have more complicated sound settings, you can also configure them here. For example, if you have 5:1 system, you can set all the settings right here. But as I said, Ubuntu usually picks up these settings automatically. It is getting more complicated with the input devices. For example, if you have several microphones, you can choose them here. That's one of the problems many users experience when they try, for example, to run Skype and they don't get sound. This is because you have wrong settings in your input devices here. And the final setting is you can configure what kind of sound you want to hear during the notification. For example, you can have a bark sound, drip, glass and sonar. So test them yourself and pick the one which you like the most. Also here you can set overamplification. I find it useful when I run Ubuntu on a notebook and I have very quiet speakers. So here I can set overamplification. It decreases the quality of the sound, but it makes the sound louder. So in some cases it's better to be able to hear something with worse quality than not hearing anything at all. So consider this option as well. If you enable it, you will be able to overamplify your sound to almost 150%. So give it a try if you use Ubuntu on a system which has very low sound level. But in my system everything works fine, so I don't need this option. And here you can also set the system sound level. For example, I usually set it to very minimal because I don't like very loud notification on my computer. So these were the sound settings. I hope it was useful, and if you experience any problem with input or output sound devices, go to these settings and make sure everything is set as you need it. After you have configured your sound, you probably also need to make sure that your display is configured correctly. Go to Display Settings, and here you can change the resolution of your screen. For example, if Ubuntu have defined your screen resolution incorrectly, you can also change refresh rate. If you have, for example, 120 Hz monitor, you can set these settings here, but in my case it is 60. And the last feature which was introduced recently in Ubuntu 20.04 is the fractional scaling. If you enable these settings, and for example you have HiDPI screen, you will be able to configure the scaling precisely as you need. For example, you can have 125% scaling, 150, 175 and 200% scaling. So if you use HiDPI screen, go to these settings and try them. I believe you will find it useful. And let's say if it doesn't work, you will be able to revert to the previous settings. Let me show you. If I click 125 here, apply, you see my screen gets black and I see nothing here. But if you wait for, I believe, 15 seconds or something, the settings will revert back. This is the safety feature of these scaling settings. Just wait. And as you can see, now my screen resolution have reverted the changes to 100%. So it is quite safe to try, and if you have HiDPI screen, you should definitely go to these settings and give it a try. You may get much better experience with these scaling settings. Another great feature of display settings is night light. It is not very obvious where it is because it's hidden here in the top, but if you click on this tab, you will be able to configure your display to reduce the amount of blue light at night time. This is much better for your eyes, and it will also help you to fall asleep easier. So I recommend you to enable it. You can use the default settings, or for example you can set some custom settings here. You just click manual schedule and you define when you want your screen to reduce the amount of blue light. But the default settings, sunset to sunrise, works pretty well. So if you have not used night light yet, go to the display settings and enable it. This is a very useful feature. You can also adjust some default settings of your touchpad and mouse behavior. You go to the mouse and touchpad tab. Here you can define what is your primary button. Usually it is the left button, but if you're a left-handed person, you can change to the right button here. Here you can also define the speed of your mouse movement. The default behavior is usually fine, but the most useful feature here is natural scrolling. If you enable it, you will scroll your content in the same direction as you move your touchpad or your mouse wheel. This is the default behavior, for example, for Mac users. If you are coming to Ubuntu from a Mac system, I recommend you to enable natural scrolling, because this way Ubuntu will feel more comfortable for you. But I don't use this feature, just wanted to share it with you. Right after I install my Ubuntu, I also add Xkill shortcut. Let me show you what it is. I believe after you learn this shortcut, you will always use it, because it is extremely useful in Linux environment. You go to the keyboard shortcuts, you scroll down, and here you click on this plus button to add a new shortcut. You give it a name Xkill. For the command you also type Xkill but with small letters. And then you press on this set shortcut button. And you press the keyboard shortcut which you want to assign to this command. And in my case it will be Ctrl Escape. So now the shortcut is assigned, you just need to click Add. And for example, if you open an application and it gets frozen, and you cannot close it, you press Ctrl Escape and your mouse turns into this cross, and then you just need to select which application you want to kill with this command. You point this cross to the title of the application and click your left button on the mouse, and the application will be killed. This is very useful, it is much faster than opening the terminal, finding the ID of this application and killing it from the terminal. This is extremely useful shortcut, and although Linux works more or less stable, sometimes you do get some applications frozen, and this is the simplest way to kill that application and start it again with normal fresh settings. Then it will work smoothly. I hope you like this shortcut and you will use it on your system. If you need to print something on Ubuntu, that is also very easy to set up. Just go to the printer settings here, click Add Printer. Ubuntu will automatically find all printers available in your network and suggest you to add a necessary driver. Just wait for some time, then you pick the printer which you need to connect, click Add, and now your printer is added. You can also go to the settings and configure it if you want. For example, here you can see all available settings. And you can also test it by printing the test page. You just click here, print a test page, and you should be able to see a printed page on your printer. Most of the printers worked very well with Ubuntu and there are no need to install any additional drivers, everything is installed automatically, but sometimes you may have some problems and you will need to install so-called a printer profile. But if that is the case, please Google your printer model with the word Linux or Ubuntu, and I'm sure you will find all the instructions. One of the first things I do after installing Ubuntu is to add additional keyboard layouts. So although this is not one of the first things in my list of things to do after installing Ubuntu, it is actually one of the first things I usually do. So if you scroll down in your settings and go to region and language, here you should be able to add any other additional keyboard layout to your system. You just click on this plus button and then you can pick any keyboard layout which is shown here, or you can click here and find additional keyboard layouts. Let's add a keyboard layout here. I will pick Swedish. You can also choose different configurations here and you click Add. Next you can also go to this settings button, and for example I usually use the settings to have different keyboard layout for different windows. I enable it, and here you can also see the shortcut which you can use to switch the keyboard layout. If you don't like this shortcut, unfortunately there is no simple way to change it, but there is a way and I will show you. You just need to open Synaptic or Software Manager and you need to install an application which is called Twix. Mark it for installation, apply. Then go to the menu, open Twix. Here you need to go to the mouse and keyboard, go to the additional layout options, and here you need to find the shortcut to change keyboard layout. and then you can pick any shortcut you like. For example, I usually use Alt-Control shortcut to change my keyboard layout. Let's enable it. Now if I press Alt-Control, my keyboard layout changes here, as you can see. I don't know why this shortcut is not possible to find among keyboard shortcuts here in Ubuntu settings, and you need to install tweaks to enable it. But this is how it is. After you have installed Ubuntu, you can also add your user image. It's a small touch, but it makes your system a little bit nicer. You go to Users, and here you just need to click on this image and pick any suggested image. You can also, of course, take a new picture or select a custom image. For example, I will select my LU image here. Select it. Now my system looks a little bit nicer and personal, because I have my image here. It is usually visible here, on your screen lock, and also in some other places. Here you have also some other settings. For example, now you can also enable fingerprint login if you have a fingerprint reader on your laptop. You can also change your password here and also check your account activity. If you need to create several users, you can also add these users here. You just need to unlock these settings with your administrative password and click Add a User. Then you type the full name of the username. You can also set the password here, and you can also make this new user administrator, but I recommend you to keep it as a standard user. This is how you configure users in your Ubuntu. We are almost done with Ubuntu settings. We just need to configure the default application and date and time. So let's go to the default applications. Here Ubuntu has some default applications pre-configured, and you can change these settings if you have some other preferences. For example, you can change your web browser from Firefox to Chromium or Google Chrome, whatever you installed. For the mail client you can also install, for example, Evolution if you prefer it, but I would recommend you to use Thunderbird because I believe it's a bit better. Here you can also edit what you can use for your calendar. By default it has a text editor, but you can install a calendar application. For the music, it has Rhythmbox selected by default, but as I said, I don't like Rhythmbox, and I would usually pick Clementine or Audacious, and I would say I would use Audacious because it's very minimal and simple player, but it has all the features I need. And in the video you can also keep default GNOME video player, or you can use Celluloid if you followed my previous thing to do after installing Ubuntu and install this nice video player. And for photo images, I recommend you to keep this image viewer because it's a bit lighter, but if you always want to open your images in Shotwell viewer, you can also enable it here. So that's the default application settings. And the final thing we will do in this settings part of things to do after installing Ubuntu is we will configure date and time. Usually it is configured correctly by default, but just make sure you have this automatic date and time enabled. This way your Ubuntu will retrieve the date and time information from the internet and you will always have your clock set correctly. But if, let's say, something doesn't work right, you can go here and change your time zone. You can also change the format of your clock. For example, if you prefer AM and PM settings, or if you want to have 24-hour settings, and your clock will change here. And of course here you can go and pick the time zone, whatever you need. You can also search for it here. So I just wanted to show you these settings because maybe some new users are not aware of them, but for some of you of course it may be trivial. But the next things after installing Ubuntu will be more interesting, and I believe some of them will be very new to you. So stay tuned and let's go to the next part. You can completely opt out from problem reporting and remove the application which collects system information in your Ubuntu. To me it doesn't matter much because you can go to the privacy settings and in the diagnostic tab you can set never collect information about the system crashes, but I know many Ubuntu users are concerned about their privacy and they prefer to remove any applications which collects information about them. So to do that you need to open Synaptic and search for the application which is called Apport with 2p, and then you just remove these two packages. Mark them for complete removal, apply. So now you should not be worried about Ubuntu collecting information about your system. Now let's do some settings of our desktop to make it a bit more customized and nicer. and we will start with the dock applications. For example, you can add more applications to this dock and use them as a quick launchers. I usually like to have my terminal here on the left. So you go to the menu, search for application you want to add, right click on it and select Add to Favorites. So as you can see, terminal application has appeared here in the dock. I usually remove this help menu, so you just click remove from favorites and it's not here anymore. And I also, for example, if you have an application open, you can just select it, right click and add to favorites. And now my Synaptic is also added to favorites. For example, if I close it, the icon stays here and I can quickly launch it again. So you can add here all the frequently used applications and have quick access to them. You can of course also move them and order them the way you want it. You can also move this menu in the dock. For example, if you don't like it to be at the bottom, you can move it to the top. For that you need to open dconf editor, which we have installed previously in this video. And here you need to search for the action which is called show apps at top. And after you enable it, you will see your application menu at the top. This is very useful if you, for example, decide to move this dock to the bottom. For that you go to the settings. In the appearance tab, you can select move it to the bottom. So now you will have this kind of more classical layout with all the applications at the bottom and your menu on the left. But I will return it back to the left side. And I still prefer to have my application menu at the top because it makes it a bit more ergonomic. I can quickly access my menu here, as well as I can also quickly access activities. I find it much better. If you would like to customize your Ubuntu desktop, you would need to enable GNOME extensions, because this is one of the easiest way to customize your desktop. And to enable them, you need to open Synaptic and search for the package which is called Chrome GNOME Shell. Install it. Next you open Firefox and go to the website which is called GNOME Extensions. It's called extensions.gnome.org, and here on this website you will be offered to install this browser extension to be able to install GNOME extensions right from the browser. You install it, reload this page. Now you can install any extension from this website. For example, let's go to this Open Weather extension, and now you see this button which you can click and install this extension right from here. After the installation, you will see this weather app here at the top menu. This way, you can install plenty of other extensions. So as you can see, there are many pages where you can choose different extensions. Just be careful and install only the extensions which you need, because if you install too many of them, there might be some conflicts between extensions and it will make your system slow or even unusable. So be very careful. And if you are going to use many extensions, the easiest way to manage all these extensions is to install the app which is called Extensions. You go to Synaptic, or you can go of course to the software manager and search for the package which is called GNOME Shell Extensions and install it. Now if you find it in your menu, and here you will be able to manage your extensions. For example, we have installed this weather app, you can disable it from here, and then you can enable it again. Another way to do that is also to go to this website and find the extensions which you have installed on your system, for example Open Weather, and disable it here. As you can see, it does the same effect, but it is more complicated because you need to do these extra steps. Here in this Extensions app, you can manage everything in one place. And of course, if you use GNOME desktop environment as we do in Ubuntu, you need to install GNOME Tweaks, because it gives you many additional settings which are not available by default. We have installed Tweaks previously when we configured shortcuts to change keyboard layout, but if you have not done that step, you can go to Synaptic and search for the application GNOME Tweaks and install it from here, just mark it for installation. But we have done that already, So I will open it and just show you some of its settings. For example, here you can change different themes, which we will do in the next step. You can manage your extensions here, you can adjust fonts. We have also done some keyboard shortcut settings for our layout here. You can see what startup applications you have. You can also adjust your status bar. There are many other settings. For example, if you don't like having these close and maximize minimize buttons on the right, you can move them to the left. You go to window title bars and click left here. So now the buttons will be on the left, but I will keep them on the right. So just go through all these settings and I'm sure you will find something what you would like to change in your system. Wix application is very useful and we will use it in a couple of times in the next things to do after installing Ubuntu in this video. So stay tuned. Now let's install some custom themes in our Ubuntu. I have showed you previously that you can change Ubuntu themes in this appearance tab in your settings, but here you have choice only between 3 different themes, and you cannot change the icon sets, but you still can do all these settings with Ubuntu tweaks. For example, if we go to tweaks, in the appearance tab, you will see that you can change application style, cursor style, icon style, desktop shell theme, and even the sound style. But if you go to this icon, you will see that you need to install Shell User Theme extension to be able to change these settings. So let's do that. You can do it through the software manager or even from this website. You go to extensions, you will see this user theme is at the top, and you just need to install it. So after it is installed, let's restart Twix. So everything is fine here, and now we can start installing additional Ubuntu themes. You go to the website gnomelook.org, and here you can pick any theme you like. You have different choices here between cursor themes, GTK free themes, and icon themes. So let's start with icons. Here, if you scroll a little down, you will see some of the most popular icons here, and let's try this Tela icon theme. You go to the files, and here you can download these icons and install them manually, or you can also enable this automatic installation. If you click on this icon, you will see the instructions you need to follow to enable this feature. So let's try to do that. We will copy this command, open the terminal, paste it, enter your password, yes. After you have installed the dependencies, you also need to install this application which will do automatic installation from gnomelook.org. You click on this link, go to this Files tab, and here you need to download the deb package. Download it, choose Save File, go to your file manager, Downloads folder, right click here, and then choose Open with Software Install, and install it. If you have problems installing this application through the software manager, you can go here and you will see the command you can use to install it. You just type the sudo dpkg with option I, and then downloads and the name of this package, and you do it in the terminal. But I decided to show you a bit user-friendlier way with the software manager. So the OCS URL is installed, so now we should be able to install these themes right from this website. Let's choose this top theme, for example. We will click install, install again. You select this application we have just installed, open link. Yes, we want to install it. Okay, now the icons theme is installed automatically, and we just need to open Twix and enable it. Twix, appearance, icons, and here we have Tela icon theme. And here how it looks. The icons are a little different, as you can see. And you can also go to the menu and see that all other icons also have been changed. This way you can install different icon themes on your Ubuntu, but you can also try to install cursor themes and shell themes. Let's try, for example, GNOME shell theme. You click here GNOME shell themes. Let's see what is popular today. Well, let's go for this flat remix theme. We click on Files, Here you have different versions of this theme, but usually the one which is at the top is the one which you need. Let's install it. Again, we open it with OCS URL. Okay. So now the theme has been installed into the folder .themes. This is what I have showed in one of my previous videos on how to customize Ubuntu and how to do everything manually, but now you can of course install this OCS application and do this installation much faster and automatically. We open Twix, go to the shell choice, and here we can select Flat Remix Blue. And you see the theme has been changed here at the top. Well, I'm not sure I like this theme, but you can of course go here and try different other themes. There are many of them, as you can see here, and pick the one which you like. And just to make this video complete, let me also show you how to install a GTK theme. You select GTK3 here. Again, let's have a look what's popular. Let's go with a Nordic theme. Files. And we will install this Nordic Darker theme. Install. Do the same what we have done to all previous themes. Now you can go to Twix, you probably need to restart it. Appearance, Applications, and here we have Nordic Darker theme. Yeah, it looks very nice, but I think I would change this Flat Remix to Yaru Dark theme. So this is how this theme looks on my Ubuntu. Of course it's probably not the best combo, but you can go here, install different themes and find the best combination for your taste. Now you should be able to configure your Ubuntu to look completely different from the default Ubuntu. Install and configure Firewall. Ubuntu is quite safe by default and you actually don't need to do that, but if you're a little more advanced user and you want to have extra security layer, you can install and enable Ubuntu Firewall. You go to Synaptic and you can search for graphical interface of uncomplicated firewall, which is called GUFW. This is the simplest firewall you can use, it's very easy to configure, and it has the essential settings for regular desktop user. Install it. After the installation, open it from the menu, enter your password, and here it is, you just need to enable it, and the default settings deny incoming and allow outgoing is usually fine for most users. But let's say you use specific applications which needs to have an open port in your firewall. For that you just need to go to Rules, and here in the plus icon you can add any application. For example, here you can see what applications are available. I usually use SSH to connect to my desktop computer, so I would scroll down here, find SSH, and add it. So now SSH access is enabled on my computer and I can connect to it remotely. If you use any other applications, for example if you use a torrent, you can also find it here. For example, transmission application, that's what Ubuntu uses to download and share torrents. You add it here, you click add. Now torrent sharing is also enabled in your Ubuntu Firewall. And if you want to change these rules, you can select them and disable. So now your system will have additional layer of security which will protect you. And if you want to learn a little more about Linux Firewall, I have made a separate video on this topic. After I have installed any Linux distribution, one of the first things I do is to change the Firefox settings. I go to the preferences here, and here I enable Restore Previous Session. So these settings will make Firefox to save all the open tabs during the close, and next time you open it, it will open those tabs again. For example, let's open Average Linux User here and close Firefox. I open it again, and it opens it in the same state as it was when I close it. So this is very useful settings. Here also, Firefox has introduced this additional space, which I don't like at the top menu, and there is no search bar. Well, you can use search here, but this search is a little bit limited because if you have special characters or if you Google email address, it will not work. So I usually right click on this panel, go to Customize, remove this space. I see no point of having this additional space which does nothing, add the search bar, and that's it. Now my Firefox top bar looks this way. I can search for things here, I can also adjust my search engine here, and I can also see the URL here. And I don't have any wasted space because I have removed it. If you use Firefox on several devices, you will also benefit from syncing your settings across all devices. This way you will be able to work on one computer and then continue your work on the other computer with the same tabs, for example, and the same history. You just need to go to the menu and click here, sign in to Firefox, enter your email, password. You can also save it if you want. Then you will receive email with a verification code, which you need to enter here. Now your Firefox is connected across all devices. If you watch Netflix, you can also do that on Linux. Google Chrome and Chromium support playing Netflix by default, but if you want to play Netflix in Firefox, you need to enable it. You just need to go to the settings, scroll down, and here you just need to enable Play DRM controlled content. This way your Firefox will be able to play Netflix videos. I would like to show you how to configure Thunderbird email client. I know some of you still use web browser to access your email, but give a try to Thunderbird, I'm sure you will like it and you may switch to it. It's very convenient, especially if you have several emails, you can access all of them in one place. So you just need to open Thunderbird, go to Preferences, Account Settings, and here you just need to add a mail account. You type your username, your email, and the password, continue. Usually Thunderbird defines all the settings automatically if you use some well-known services such as Gmail, Yahoo, but if you use some specific mail provider, you may also need to do the settings manually. You just need to click here Manual Config and adjust the settings. Then you run retest everything. If everything is fine, you click Done. If you're using Gmail, you may need to confirm your account again. You enter your email here, password. If you use two-factor authentication, you need to verify yourself, and then allow Thunderbird to access your Google account. Okay? So now you will see all your emails right here. The same way you can add even more accounts. Just go to the Preferences, Account Settings, and add another account here. This way you will be able to aggregate all your emails just here on the left panel and access different email accounts from one application. Moreover, you can also go to Thunderbird add-on settings, and here in extension you can install Lightning extension. Install it. So after you have installed Lightning, you should be able to access your calendar in Thunderbird. Just click on this icon here and you will see your calendar. And you can create events here, which in my particular case will be synced to my Google account across all devices. So I find Thunderbird very powerful application, not only because you can aggregate different emails in one application, you can also have access to your calendars in this application. Now let me show you how you can change the look of your LibreOffice. The LibreOffice looks quite nice by default, but I don't really like these icons, so I prefer to change them. For that you need to go to Tools, Options, View, and here you can change the icon style. For example, you can change it to Breeze, Apply. This is how it looks. This is a Plasma 5 theme. You can also change it to Colibri. And I think Colibri looks quite nice, so I will keep this theme. There are some others, you can try them and see which one you like most. If you want to install even more LibreOffice icons, you can go to Synaptic, search for LibreOffice style, and install some additional icons such as human icons, oxygen, which is a bit outdated, or this cipher icon. This one is actually quite good, let's install it. You need to restart Firefox. Then again you go to Tools, Options, View, Icon Style, and select this newly installed icon theme and apply it. This is how it looks now. Also, you can change the layout of LibreOffice. You just go to View menu, User Interface, and you can select Tab menu. And you will have different tabs here, which will be more like Microsoft Office view. If you need to go back to the settings, you need to click here, Menu bar, go to View, User Interface, and change it, for example, to Single Toolbar. This is what I usually use, because it serves some vertical space here. You can of course go to View again and check different other settings, and pick the one which you like the most. So I hope this small customization will make your LibreOffice a bit more convenient and you will be a little more productive. Enable Google Drive integration. You can easily connect your Ubuntu with your Google Drive and use it, for example, to backup our system, as I will show in the next step. I have already showed how to connect Google Drive. You just need to sign with your Google account in the settings. So you open Settings, go to Online Accounts, and here you just connect your Google account, which I have done already. As you can see, it's connected here. So this way, when you open a file manager, you will see your Google account listed here. So, and we will use this Google account in the next step. And the next step is to backup your system. Just go to the menu, open the backup application, and here you can configure how to do these backups. You can enable it, so this way it will automatically create backups. So by default, Ubuntu suggests you to backup your home folder, and this is everything what you can see here in your home folder. And usually these settings are fine. So if you go to the Ignore folder, here you can specify what folders you don't want to backup. And usually you don't want to backup your trash, and you can also skip, for example, Downloads folder, because you can download these files again. Then you can select where you want to backup. Here you have different choices. You can backup it to another hard drive. Let's say if you have several hard drives, you can backup it through the network, and you can backup it to some online storages. I have already connected my Google account and I have Google Drive, so that's where I will backup my system. You can name this folder whatever you want. I will keep it as a computer name, Ubuntu 20, and in the schedule you want to define how often you want to do these backups. You can do them daily or weekly, and then you can also define for how long you want to keep different copies of these backups. I usually define 6 months, which is reasonable. So now your system is configured for automatic backups, but you can also go to the Overview tab and run a manual backup if you need to run backup at specific not scheduled time point. Let's backup it. As you can see, there is one dependency which is missing, and I believe this dependency is necessary only for Google Drive, so let's install it. So this program is quite smart, and it defines automatically what is missing and asks you to install it. Okay, you also need to grant access to the Deja Do backup tool in your Google account. I will do that. Hello. So access is granted. Now Deja Do backup will backup all the files to my Google account. So the backup application also offers you to encrypt your backup with a password, but I will not do that. I don't have any sensitive files on this system. So now the program is backing up my system. I highly recommend you to configure this backup application right after the installation, so you are sure you have a copy of all your important files. After you have installed Ubuntu, it is also worth checking how your webcam and microphone works. For that, you can go to the settings, and here in the sound, you should be able to see your input devices, and whenever you speak, you should see this kind of moving things which shows that your microphone works. This is one of the ways to check your microphone, but another way is to check both the microphone and your camera with a specific application by recording a video. In Ubuntu there is an application which is called Cheese. This is a webcam application which is installed by default, but unfortunately in my case it did not pick up my camera, and as you can see it shows that no device is found. Even if I go to preferences, I cannot choose any device here. So I don't know, maybe it's specific to my camera, which is I believe it's called Logitech HD 1080p, Anyway, you can see it here on this picture. But if I install another application, which is another webcam application, it recognizes my camera quite well. The application is called GUVC. You install it. This is also an application which I use to record my video. This is a webcam. And if I open GUVC view, it recognizes my web camera automatically, as you can see. And also if I record a video and then play it, I can see that both web camera and the microphone work correctly. You can also disable some startup applications in your Ubuntu, but these are little advanced settings, so if you are a very new user to Ubuntu, I recommend you to skip this step. So if you go to the menu and search for startup applications, you will see that there are not many startup applications by default, but we can change these settings because many of startup applications are hidden here. So let's close it and open the terminal and run this command, which I provide in the description under this video. Enter your password and open the startup application program again. So now, as you can see, there are many applications which start automatically with your system, but they are hidden by default. Now you have access to them and you can disable some of them if you are not going to use them. But be very careful again here. You can, for example, disable evolution alarm notify because there is no evolution installed on this system. You can also scroll down and see what else you can disable, but again, just be very careful. For example, I disable Wacom plugin because I don't have a Wacom tablet. I also disable Orca screen reader because this is accessibility feature which I don't need. And I also disable welcome screen because I don't need welcome screen. So just go through all these settings and see what else you can disable. So this way you will make your system to start a little faster. Another advanced thing to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04 is to remove some of the default applications. Again, you need to be very careful here. If you're a new user, never remove any default applications. But if you're a little more advanced, you can clean your system a bit. For that, I usually open Synaptic, and here I go to the Install tab and scroll through all the programs which I installed on my system and see if I really need it. If you are not sure about some of the programs, keep it. It's better to keep it than remove it and break something. For example, I usually remove this BlueS application, which is Bluetooth application, because I don't have Bluetooth on my system. I can also remove this. I also remove all the games which are installed by default. It's difficult to find them here, but if you go to search and you, for example, search Sudoku, you can remove it from here. After you have selected all the programs you want to remove, click apply and remove them. But again, be very careful because you can break your system if you remove some key application on your system. Another advanced option which I would like to show you is how to list all the installed snap packages, and let's say you want to replace a snap package with a deb package. I have talked about snaps in my Ubuntu 20.04 review, which you can find in the description. So you open terminal, let's make it full screen, and then you just type snap list, and you will see all the snap packages installed on your system. For example, here I have Audacity, which is installed as a snap package, but I would prefer to use a Debian version of this package. So to remove it, I type sudo snap remove Audacity. Removing the snap application takes some time, but there is one advantage to using a Debian version versus a snap version is Debian version starts a little faster, and it is lighter because it uses dependencies which are shared between different applications on your system, while a snap version is a kind of a container application which includes all the dependencies as a package. An advantage of this is that this application is a little more stable because it doesn't depend on other applications, but on the other hand it gets a little heavier and it runs a little slower. So after you have removed a snap version of an application, you can go to Ubuntu Software Center and search here for that application and make sure you have installed a Debian version. For example, for Audacity, you will see there are two different versions of these programs. If you click on the first one, you will see it has the source Ubuntu Focal Universe. But if you click on this one, you will see that the source is Snapcraft, which is a Snap application. And if you prefer to have a Debian version, you need to select the one which is not Snap version in the source and install it. Sometimes you may also have one application listed in Ubuntu Software Center and the version will be shown here, so just choose the right version from this menu here. And now if we list again our Snap packages, you will see that Audacity is not there anymore. Based on your preferences, see what kind of apps you have installed as the Snap packages, and maybe you actually would prefer to have a regular Debian package version instead of a Snap version. I hope this tip was useful if you're a little more advanced user, but if you have no idea what I'm talking here, just ignore it and go to the next thing to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04. If you're using Android phone, you may also want to connect your Android phone to your Ubuntu system. And to do that, you need to install an extension which is called GS Connect. You go to the website GNOME Extensions and search for GS Connect. Here it is. Then you install it. After you have installed GS extension on your desktop, you also need to install KDE Connect on your phone. You need to open it on your phone. And then you click on this network icon in Ubuntu. You will see new menu which is called Mobile Devices. Click on it and open Mobile Settings. And usually Ubuntu will automatically recognize your phone, and you will also see Ubuntu name in your phone KDE Connect application. You need to click on it on your phone and request pairing. Then you just need to accept pairing the devices. So now your phone is connected to your Ubuntu. But let's say GS Connect does not see your phone. This may be the case if Firewall blocks GS connection. So to enable GS Connect in your Firewall, you open Uncomplicated Firewall, which we have installed in our previous step of things to do after installing Ubuntu. You go to the rules, click on this plus icon, and then you just need to find KDE Connect. Here it is. You click Add and make sure the policy is to allow. So now the rules are added here. GS Connect should not have any problem to find your phone. Canonical also recommends that you enable Livepatch, so this way your kernel will be patched with security fixes without the need to reboot your system. To enable it, you go to the menu and look for Livepatch. You click on the sign in button, and then you can either sign in if you already have an account, or you can register a new account here. I already have an account, so I will sign in with existing account. You will need to enter your password a couple of times. So now you can see Livepatch is on my system. So this way my system is a little more secure, because I will receive all the patches to my kernel even without the need to reboot my system. So we are approaching to the end of this list of things to do after installing Ubuntu, and after you have installed everything and configured your system, you may want to clean your Ubuntu system. So in my previous things to do after installing Ubuntu, I recommended to install the program which is called BleachBit. It is available in the Software Center. You just search for BleachBit and install it. But in this video I would like to show you a little different program which is called Ubuntu Cleaner, and to install it you need to add a specific repository. Again, I provide these comments in the description under this video. You add the repository by typing your password, enter. After you have added the repository, you need to update your system, sudo apt update, and then you type sudo apt install Ubuntu Cleaner. Yes. So this is a little bit different application which allows you to clean your system. After the installation, you find it in the menu. So here it is, and here you can define what you want to clean. For example, you can clean Firefox cache, Thunderbird cache, thumbnail cache, apt cache. As you can see, I have a lot of packages here. You can select it here. old kernels. That's right. After you have selected what you want to clean, you just go here and press this clean button. If you want to clean like old kernels or some administrative related files, you will need to enter your password. And after that, your system will be cleaned. If you run Ubuntu on a laptop, you may also install some additional packages which will help you to save your battery time. For that, you need to open the terminal, and you install a package for battery saving by typing sudo apt install plp. If you use a ThinkPad, you may also install these two additional packages. Again, I provide all the commands in the description under this video. You press enter, say yes, and after you have installed these packages, your battery life will be little extended. But there is one more thing you need to do if you run Ubuntu on a laptop, is to show the battery percentage. So for that you need to open Ubuntu Tweaks. Here you go to the top bar, and here you need to enable battery percentage. Unfortunately, you don't see any changes on my system because I run it on a desktop. I don't have a battery, so I don't have a battery indicator. But if you run it on a laptop, it will show you the remaining percentage of the energy on your battery. So these were the settings which are necessary for laptop users. I hope these 50 things to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04 were useful, and you have configured your Ubuntu exactly as you want. Thank you for watching.